India. India size and location. This is the first unit which we are going to deal now. Now, in India size and location, before let us learn about India. India is a land of cultural diversity. India has been a land which has ancient civilizations in practice from many years. Indian ancient civilizations is considered as to be one of the oldest civilizations which existed on this world. So the Indus Valley civilization traces the Indian existence in the ancient period. Now, from the past 5 to 6 decades, as India achieved its independence in 1947, from then India achieved a remarkable progress, not only in the field of agriculture, but also in the field of technology, education, and all the other scientific developments. Now, moving on to understand exactly what is India's size and location is a main concept and theme of this lesson. India location. When we locate any place, we just like to know with the help of the map. On the map, if we are locating India, first of all, India falls on the northern hemisphere completely, because India is located in Asia, and in the southeastern part of Asia we find exactly where India is located. So in order to know exactly and appropriately where the country is located or where any particular place is present, so we need to know the latitudinal and the longitudinal extent of a place. The latitudinal extent of India is 8 degrees to 37 degrees north, while the longitudinal extent is 68 degrees to 97 degrees east. Now, 8 degrees to 37 degrees, which means it is above the equator. When we say north, it clearly specifies for us that it comes under the northern hemisphere. Now, when it is in the northern hemisphere, the longitudes start from 0 degrees. The 0 degree longitude is the equator. From there towards the upwards, very close to the equator, we have India. So the total number of latitudes which are passing through India is 30 latitudes are passing through India, while longitudes, if you take, the longitudes also are nearly 30 longitudes passing through India. So in order to know exactly the location of India, India's longitudinal extent, India falls in the northern hemisphere, starts at 8 degrees north latitude and ends at 37 degrees north latitude. And coming to the longitudes, towards the eastern side, we find its location from 68 degrees to 97 degrees east. So this clearly specifies for us what is the actual location of India. Now, we have one more special quality for India's location, especially with regards to latitudes. That is, the latitudinal extent, that is from 8 degrees to 37 degrees. In the middle we have 23.5 degrees longitude, that is nothing but the Tropic of Cancer. The Tropic of Cancer divides India equally into two halves, whereas it is passing through Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh and the other states like West Bengal and passes on to the northeastern states. While it is passing through this one, it exactly divides India into two equal halves. Just as the equator divides the entire world into two equal hemispheres, in the similar way, India has been divided by the Tropic of Cancer into two parts. So, Tropic of Cancer, the region which is present downwards towards the Tropic of Cancer, experiences some type of hot climatic conditions because it comes under the torrid climatic condition zone, whereas the land which is present above the Tropic of Cancer comes under the temperate zone region. So the climate is little bit less heat when compared to the southern region. So northern part doesn't experiences much heat temperatures or hot temperatures, well as southern part experiences some of the hottest dry days during the summer. Now let us understand about the size of India. Now let us understand the size of India. The total area of India is 3.28 million square kilometers. Well, this accounts nearly for 2.4% in the entire geographical area of the world. Now, 3.28 million square kilometers is really a very vast land. India covers a large region under its origin, under its influence. But India stands at the 7th place, while Russia with 17 million square kilometers stands at the first place, followed by Canada, and then we have US, China, Brazil and the other countries. Later we have our country India standing at the 7th place. So India is the 7th largest country in the world in terms of area, geographical area. So India's total geographical area is 3.28 million square kilometers, while it accounts for nearly 2.4% in the entire world geographical area of landmass. Now, the entire land boundary of India is 15,200 kilometers, while the coastline boundary is 7,516.6 kilometers. The entire land boundary means that the region which is covering the entire land boundaries of from India, from Kashmir again back to Kashmir, covering the points like eastern region, Kanyakumari region, Gujarat region, then we move on to Kashmir. While when we talk about the coastline, we talk only about the region starting from Gujarat belt to the West Bengal region. So that's why the coastline is just 7,516 kilometers, while the landmass is nearly 15,200 kilometers. Now, when we observed the location of India, we clearly mentioned that India's latitudinal extent is from 8 degrees to 37 degrees, while the longitudinal extent is from 68 degrees to 97 degrees. So it clearly reveals for us that latitudes, we have nearly 30 latitudes and 30 longitudes passing through India. So when we look at the exact India map, you find that the northern region is bit from west to east is bit wider when compared to the north to south. It actually appears like that because when we take the exact count of the latitudes are parallel to each other and they maintain the equidistance between each other, which makes us the distance to be very large. While coming to the longitudes converge at poles, so the equidistance between the longitudes gets converged nearby to the poles. So the number of longitudes may be 30, but it's not equal to the distance of 30 latitudes. That is the reason why it differs slightly. Now, moving on to understand the timeline of India. The time, when we talk about the time, we generally remember about our watches. But here we are not talking about the time of our local nations. We generally talk about the timeline of the entire world, the time zones. When we talk about the time zone, the first longitudes are basically brought into existence to study about the times and to have clarity on the time zone. So the 0 degree longitude, that is the Greenwich meridian, is considered as the prime meridian, where it passes through Greenwich in London is the starting point of the time zone. Now, from there to come towards India, if you take the longitudinal or the latitudinal extent, we generally consider only the longitudinal extent for our times. So the longitudinal extent, if 68 degrees is considered, where it starts near Gujarat, and when it comes to 97 near the Arunachal Pradesh, there is nearly 30 longitudinal extent present there. So 30 longitudes are passing through India. So these 30 longitudes, when we talk, each longitude it takes 4 minutes to pass. So this 4 minutes to pass is calculated into 30, which means 30 into 4 is equal to 120. So 120 minutes of time difference can be observed if 68 degrees is taken into consideration for the Indian Standard Time. So Arunachal Pradesh people would be experiencing 2 hours of delay because we have 120 minutes of variation there. If we take the other side of Arunachal Pradesh, the people in Gujarat would be missing for the 2 hours. So in order to avoid the confusion like this, they have taken exactly the middle longitude as India's standard meridian time, which brings the clarity on the time. And now, though we find exactly there is a difference of some time when we take the middle one, because still we have 15 longitudes this side, 15 longitudes the other side, but the difference would be very less than compared to 2 hours. That's why to maintain a standard time whole across the country, they have fixed the meridian as the standard meridian, that is 82.5 degrees or 30 degrees would be the Indian standard meridian. So the Indian timeline will be determined basing on the longitude of 82 degrees 30 inches or 82.5 degrees longitude. So let's have a brief recap. The total size of India is 3.28 million square kilometers. The percentage of area which it covers is 2.4 in the entire geographical area present in the world. Then the land boundary of India is 15,200 kilometers, while the coastline boundary is 7,516.6 kilometers. 30 degrees is a significant degree for us because 30 longitudes pass through India, 30 latitudes pass through India. So this 30 plays a significant role for us, and longitudes are converging at poles, so the distance between the longitudes is comparatively less when compared to the distance between the latitudes is similar, equal and equidistant. That is the reason why when we find north to south, you find more land when compared to east to west. And then timeline, the time zone of India has been determined and fixed as 82 degrees 30 inches to avoid the further confusions between the time differences, because in Gujarat if you take the first longitude as a time base for the time, then you get 2 hours of difference at Arunachal Pradesh, while in Arunachal Pradesh if you start, then you get in Gujarat 2 hours of variation. So in order to avoid this confusion, they have fixed the time zone with the standard meridian of 82 degrees 30 inches. Next, move on to India and the world. As we fixed the Indian standard meridian as 82 degrees 30 inches. So this 82 degrees 30 inches is a standard meridian for Indian time, and it passes through Mirzapur in Uttar Pradesh, and also the Sri Lanka connects to Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka is also following the same Indian timings. Now moving on to understand India and the rest of the world. As I mentioned earlier, India is a land where we have the ancient civilizations in existence. The ancient civilizations flourished on this land. Indus Valley civilization gives us as a remarkable point of reminder for us all that this land has been flourished by the ancient civilizations. Now, moving on to understand the landmass of India. When we look at the landmass of India, we find it very typical because no other country has such a long coastline, though it is in the northern hemisphere and it is connected, it's located in Asia. It is very well connected with the other continents like Europe and also Africa. The land towards the South India protrudes into the Indian Ocean, where it has a wide range of coastline on the Indian Ocean, which justifies the name of the ocean after the country, that is the Indian Ocean. And it makes its viable access from here towards the Southeast Asia, well as to Africa and also to Europe. So the location of India, the strategic location of India itself brought her to a special position in the location itself. This strategic location made her to be eminent and clear special country. So the country can be well connected through land routes from Europe, through water or sea route from Africa towards the eastern part of Asia, and also having a long coastal line on the Indian Ocean also signifies a special place for our country India. Now relationships, when we talk about the relationships, India's relationship with the western countries is not a new point. It has its relationship with the western countries from way olden days. Ancient 3rd century BC itself, we have Indians pottery being sold there, Indian spices being carried there. So through the land route there existed a very cardinal relationships. The trade has continued for many centuries from the west to the east. That's how the people came to know about the ideas of Upanishads, the Ramayana, the Mahabharata. These ideas spread towards the west, and also the Indian numericals. Arabs learned the concept of zero from the Indians. Then we also have the trade in regards to spices, muslin cloth, and also we have the borrowing of the architectural structures like the dome structure, the minarets, which we have now in various places. So this reveals for us that from the ancient time onwards, India is very well connected towards the west, and it proves that there has been a positive relations between the west and to the east, either through trade or by the kings coming and occupying the lands, or through the establishment of the structural existences which we have in our country, which are a replica or borrowed from the western countries. This is about the India's and her connections with the rest of the world. India has in her location 29 states and 7 union territories. So India has comprised of 29 states and 7 union territories. 29th state was a recently new created state which got bifurcated Andhra Pradesh region. Now coming to the India's neighbors, India has two types of neighbors: the countries which share land boundaries with India, and also which are connected through the waterways. So India shares land boundaries on the north with Pakistan and Afghanistan partly, and China. Here when we talk about China, we are talking about Tibet, because Tibet is occupied by Chinese people. Here these three are the northern places where India shares the land boundary. Then when we move on to Nepal, when we are coming towards the northeastern side, Nepal, Bhutan with the two countries where we share the northeastern land boundary with India. When we move on to Myanmar and Bangladesh, these are the eastern boundaries of India. Fine. The entire land boundaries of India are shared from Gujarat towards Arunachal Pradesh, coming down till Bangladesh, means towards the West Bengal region. We have Pakistan, Afghanistan and China coming under the northern land frontier regions, while as Nepal and Bhutan coming under the northeastern land frontier regions, Myanmar and Bangladesh eastern land boundary countries, while Sri Lanka and Maldives, the two island countries, are located on the southern part of India in the Indian Ocean, where Sri Lanka is separated from India through the Pak Strait or the Gulf of Mannar, while south of the Lakshadweep Islands we have the location of Maldives. These are the Indian boundaries which are located and which brought a special position for India strategically. That's how India's location and extent exceeds. India is the 7th largest country in the world, culturally having diversity in its culture in a larger scale. Different languages are spoken, different communities, different religions are in practice. So this all also brings the name for India as India to be called as a subcontinent, continent within the continent, so it is rightly known as subcontinent. India is also called as subcontinent. That's all we have in this India, size and location.